Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to draw a face by using or imagining basic 3D shapes as a guide. This technique will help you understand the structure much better and make your drawings look more solid and realistic. The face is a very complex structure and it can be quite confusing to draw. That's why in this demo, I show you how to simplify it by visualizing the head as a combination of basic 3D forms like sphere, cube, and pyramid. This approach makes it so much easier to understand and draw the face with more confidence. For example, when drawing the eye, I don't start with the eye itself. Instead, I imagine a ball or a sphere to represent the eye socket. This helps me understand the form and placement better before adding the actual details or shading. I also imagine the nose as a pyramid-like structure. This makes it easier to understand the shape, apply shading, and get the proportions right. Once the basic form is in place, you can always add the details afterward. This is just a quick sketch, so I won't be too focused on copying the photo reference exactly. The goal here is to show how imagining solid objects or basic shapes can help make the drawing process faster, easier, and more understandable. Here, I'm visualizing the head as a box with a sphere on top. This approach makes it easier to construct the shape of the face, and it really helps in understanding the overall structure. And when it comes to shading, it's more important to first identify where the light source is coming from. This will guide you in placing shadows and highlights more accurately. And since we visualized the head as a box, we can now shade the right side as a single plane. Because it's facing away from the light source, we can keep it darker and treat it as one unified shadow area. To make the neck easier to draw, try seeing it as a cylinder, connecting the head to the shoulders. This gives it a natural flow. The mouth area looks fairly flat here, mainly because it's covered in shadow. So for now, we can treat it as a flat surface. The eyes are in shadow because the light source is coming from above. You can think of the eyebrows like a canopy, casting a shadow over the eye sockets. We will just repeat the process for all the areas we want to shade. First, identify the light source, then figure out which part are not being hit by the light. Those are the shadow areas. But keep in mind that shadows aren't all the same value. Some parts will be much darker while others are lighter, due to some light still reaching them. For example, the area right under the nose is much darker compared to the sides because the light doesn't reach it as much. That's why the technique I'm talking about is so important. Treating the drawing, or in this case the face, as a simple 3D object. It makes shading much easier because we're not focusing on the details right away. We're focusing first on the overall shape of the 3D forms we're visualizing. If shading basic 3D shapes like spheres, cubes, or cylinders still feels unfamiliar, I recommend practicing those first. Mastering them will make portrait drawing much easier. Now that we've established the overall shape and shading, We can start adding some of the details. The same principle applies to the hair. We will approach it as a 3D mass with volume, not just draw individual strands. This makes it easier to understand how the light and shadow behave. It's just a bit more challenging with the hair because its shape is more irregular. It's not as simple as the basic 3D forms we used earlier. Maybe I will make a separate tutorial just for drawing hair. At this point, we can start adding details to the eyes. It's much easier now since we've already established the shading around the eye sockets. When drawing the eyes, try to imagine the eyelids wrapping around the sphere. This helps you understand the form better and makes the eyes look more three-dimensional. This area between the eyebrows kind of looks like a slide. It's like a flat plane that's slightly tilted downward. For now, ignore the creases or lines on the face. Focus on shading it as one whole plane first. You can add the details of the creases later on. I'm just refining the shading across the whole face now. And of course, I'm still visualizing the form of the face as a 3D structure. The lower part of the face, down to the neck, is darker and has more shadows because our light source is coming from above. Just continue refining the shading as much as you like. It really depends on your style and whether you want your drawing to be super detailed or realistic. As for me, since this is just a demo, I won't refine it too much. And I think I've already shown the concept or technique I wanted to share. It might be better to use a pencil at first since it's easier to control. I'm just using a ballpoint pen because I personally feel more comfortable with it. I'm adding the hair details and some of the wrinkles. Usually those are added toward the final stages once everything is established. Since I'm using a ballpoint pen, creating highlights, especially on the beard and the hair, can be a bit challenging. It's definitely easier to do with a pencil. So that's it, guys. I hope this helped and thank you for watching.